Hey, hey. No music for you guys today. Everyone complains about music, so fine. I need it. It helps me, but whatever. This ain't about me. Um, so I want to tell you about the guy who port scanned the entire internet. This is a funny story. This is from like 5 years ago, and it'll help me kind of illustrate a point of some things that I've been talking about recently that other people might not necessarily have a clue of or understand even why I would think that stuff or say that stuff. Um, so let's look. The guy who port scanned the entire internet and posted results. So it's a Reddit article, and again, this is in the golden day, the golden age of Reddit, back before it was all trolls and shit posters and anyway, so the original article you're not going to necessarily find anymore. Well, you can find if you search a little more, but it's not linked directly through the Reddit site. But the comments are more than enough to give you an idea. So I'll read them for you to summarize, and then I'll kind of give you why this is important. So again, it says, for the less computer literate, can someone summarize this article and the implications of this much insecurity? I understand he basically mapped out all of the unsecured devices, but can you give a layman's explanation to how? So again, what this guy did was, well, this post pretty much it will do a better job. So they made a computer program which tried IP addresses in order until it found one which led to an unsecured device. So basically, you have an IP address that is the address, the location, or whatever of your computer on the internet. So just like the post office uses your home address to send you mail, and you use your home address to send mail to somebody else through the post office, your IP address is much like that. So again, this person basically went, okay, we're going to start with, the first address and iterate our way up. And at each address, we're basically going to knock on the door, see if anybody's home, see if it's a house. If it is, we're going to jiggle the doorknob and see if it's unlocked. If it is, we're going to open the door, walk inside, make a copy of the key, and then leave. And then we're going to check the next door neighbor. Same thing. Is it a house? Okay. We're going to knock on the door. We're going to jiggle the handle. We're going to open the door, walk in. If we can, make a copy of the key. So again, it says, then it installed itself on that device, walking inside the home because the door is unlocked, and continued. So now you had two copies running, which soon found more unsecured computers and multiplied themselves. This led to exponential growth of the number of copies running and allowed them to try out all 4+ billion addresses in 16 and a half hours. 16 and a half hours is the amount of time that very lazy people sleep, and you could have literally gone to bed and woke up and the entire internet could have been compromised in that time. So that is insane to me. So again, still reading the comments, it says, I gotta wonder how much power consumption he triggered across the globe in those 16 and a half hours, triggering probably mostly dormant hardware to start scanning. Megawatts, terawatts, 1.21 gigawatts. If you don't get that reference. Sort of cool to think about, but how one dude with a laptop could trigger an event like that. And this guy says, well, from the article, he ran it on a very low priority, utilizing only a few connections. The computer was running anyway, so I don't think he added significantly to the entropy. So basically, this guy's saying if the computer was able to be connected to and basically infected, that meant it was already running. It's not like it was necessarily dormant. Or the piece of hardware, the device, whatever you want to call it. He says, so I don't think he added any significant entropy. Blah, blah. If you actually want to charge him for the full time of each ping and then multiply that against all the instances, the times, you don't care about that part. The guy basically says he doesn't think that he really could have powered more than a dozen light bulbs because of the way that he did it. And then this dude tries to refute it more or less and says, I don't know, man, 52 billion ICMP probes, scanned 71 billion ports, sent 4,000 billion service probes. Something tells me this might add up to more than you'd expect. Makes me wonder what the overall power consumption costs of a real malicious botnet are. also makes me wonder how many bitcoins he could have mined using all that distributed hardware 5 years ago. Okay, this is a possibility 5 years ago. And again, this guy who's just messing around was able to throw together a little program, scan the entire internet, and infect a huge number of devices so that he could further propagate this. We'll call it a virus, even though it wasn't necessarily malicious. And I think when we think of viruses, we think of malicious. But and basically that they all had the default username and password. That's because he didn't sit there and try to crack all these devices. He, like I said, he literally jiggled the handle of the door to see if it was unlocked. So most of the time when you get your router, when you get your whatever, there's a default password set. Companies are getting a lot better now where they've like hard coded a specific, weird password in there that's not admin or admin password or blank for username, admin for password, or admin 12345. Like it's ridiculous the default passwords that were set, and then people never really set their gear up properly, and they don't go in and change those passwords. So you get sites actually like Shodan, and so this is pretty crazy site. This site's been around for a long time, and now they're a lot more commercial. They used to be a lot smaller 5 years ago. And what it does though is you can scan for anything really connected to the internet. Internet of Things devices though is kind of what where I originally started looking on Shodan for. So you can see security cameras, you can see PLCs, you can see different, again, devices connected to the internet, routers, not necessarily just like a computer or person, though there's no reason you can't scan for that too. But so let's go. We'll actually see some of the stuff that you can do. So I mean, you can actually, like I said, Shodan's a pretty crazy thing. Logged in? Yeah, we're logged in. We should be good. Explore the Internet of Things. Let's just explore some stuff real quick. So they even have a whole section on default passwords. Like, to me, this is crazy. So these are just, a bunch of routers, more or less, that have a default password built in. So, I mean, you can go through and just, China, United Kingdom, and this gives you the banner. It basically tells you what the thing responded as. And since this is a Cisco thing, I can tell you that there are a bunch of stuff for this. Let's find something that's at least in America. Oh, of course we crashed. Of course we crashed. 401, what are you, above net communications? So that you can use other things. Once you find, something or what have you, then you can go and use like Nmap. We won't show you the Nmap online. We'll just show you regular Nmap. So Nmap's been around forever too. Nmap's a tool that originally was a command line tool. That's how everyone kind of knows of it, or should have known of it. And it was like revolutionary because it more or less became like the point and click tool for people to do a lot of work to do work that used to take them either the ability to code and create. They had to know shell scripting, or they had to know C, or they had to know something to create a loop, or to basically make a port scanner work, like, in iterations. But Nmap, not only was it an easy command line tool, it even became a GUI. I mean, so you can even write out your Nmap string in here. You can customize it. Like, it got really, really dumbed down. Like, you could have a 2-digit IQ and basically follow a couple steps and no problem. And I mean, even to the point of like, if you get default router password list, you'll find the right one. Yeah, that's what I meant. So like, this is just crazy to me that you can, it tells you like, hey, sure, I forgot my password to my router. I need to figure it out. Like, what's my login IP for it, and what's my default user and password? Well, I mean, so any D-Link router pretty much was this, Linksys, Netgear. Like, it was very common for you to be able to go, log into or hit an IP address. Oh, I find that it's running the right port to have, the web GUI on it for the router. Okay, cool. Admin. Huh, I'm in your router now. Great. You were stupid enough to leave remote administration on. Wow. Like all these things should have been handled when they set up their router. So a lot of people, they're not setting up their stuff correctly. They're not reading through the actual documentation. Go figure, right? Anyway, so you have the IP. You scan the thing. You can again find a billion different things. You can find security cameras. You can find. Let's just explore. No, we don't need that. Yeah, we don't need that here. Point being, let's just go. Show me the webcams. So if you want to look at security cameras from places, you could even find the business's location, you find their IP address, you do a Shodan search for their IP address along with a webcam string, not necessarily always this one, but you can iterate through them, of course. And then you go, oh wow, they got security camera footage, and then that way you can look at what their security cameras show. So if you're planning to break in this place, well, you know the angles now. Like, it's so crazy that you could actually do the if you've ever seen the movie Foolproof, it's an not old, but older movie with Ryan Reynolds of all people. Back before, I guess, Ryan Reynolds was the big star, the Deadpool dude that he is now. That was a movie where, like, it was this group of friends who had planned break-ins on places. Never really went through with them or anything. They had always, thought it was fun to basically, go through the process of how would we do it, what would we do, how would we do it if this, that, and the other went wrong, what's backup plan, what's A, B, and C, and then you have to see the movie to see the rest of it. But anyway, fascinated me. But these are the kind of things that you could actually, go through and do. I mean, even to the point of, you don't have to be like you just have to be a problem solver, I guess. And you don't have to really know even a whole bunch. If you know how to solve problems and link things together, then you can make stuff happen, in a roundabout way, as long as you're patient too. Because if, for instance, if you're attacking a person, you can do an IP grabber link. So these things are link shorteners that are a man in the middle, basically. So I had talked about man in the middle attacks. And we'll say this. So we have actually we'll do this. We have you, and then we have long URL. Okay, long URL, good enough. But you don't want to type out that, or you don't want to try to send someone that link for multiple reasons. Maybe you're using Twitter and the link is too long, so you need to use like a dot, a bit.ly, link shortener, something that's a tiny little link that can contain a much larger link. So it's what's called like a hop link. So instead, you would have you and then short link. Easier for you. So what sometimes happens is people go you short link, which is IP collect. Well, I guess short link and IP connector connected, and then it takes you to this long URL. Spacing's awful. I apologize. But point being, you just go. We'll just take. They're all the same. Whatever. What's the shortest looking one? So you basically just load in your link. Oh, of course. Of course. We got so much shit running in the background. Go figure. We're just going to say we want to shorten AOL.com. We're just going to create a URL. Of course, I agree to these terms of service. And again, prove that you're a human, blah, blah, blah. Is that all attractors? Anyway, you get the idea. Basically, what it's going to do is it's going to give you a link. And you're going to use that link. And it's going to also give you the ability to see all the people who've clicked that link. And by that, I mean you're going to get to see all the IP addresses of those people. So anytime those people click the link, you get their IP. And then, so now you have their IP. You go through and you nmap them, for instance. You run the scan on them. You see what's open. You hit Shodan. You go to Shodan. You see if they have anything on Shodan from their IP that's open. You go to a bunch of different resources to see what angles you can use. And then once you have those answers, you can make your next plan of attack. Oh, they have a webcam. What can I do with a webcam? Oh, they have a router that's running a default password. What can I do with that? Can I install new firmware on it? Can I put a bot on there? Can I do something that puts a backdoor in it so that I always have access? All those things are once you've been able to figure out who they are, where they are, then you're able to figure out what you can do. And again, figuring out who they are is a lot easier than you'd believe. Now, if they're using a VPN, if they're using a proxy, if they're using a this, that, or the other, it gets tougher. And a lot of services now also filter their, like Comcast filters all these ports. If you were to do like a Shodan scan on a Comcast IP, it'll tell you that, Telnet's filtered, POP3 is filtered. It'll just say filtered. It's not going to tell you if they're open or they're closed, where some of the other Shodan necessarily won't, but some of the online scanning stuff will tell you like, hey, you got an open port. Oh, nope, you got a closed port. Sometimes it's better. I would rather know if something's closed than if it's filtered, personally. Anyway, so point being, port scan the entire internet. Less than 20 hours, less than 17 hours, this guy was able to do this. Again, there was only 4-ish billion devices back then, and there's way more devices now. But again, if there's way more devices now, that also generally means that the propagation will happen faster. So just because there's more devices, well, that also means there's more devices that can scan for other devices. So I don't know if it'll take much longer than 20 hours or 24 hours even. But again, to put all that stuff on there, it does not take a long time. Like the whole internet can get infected fairly quickly. And again, what if someone's mining crypto on that? Anyway, the rest of these things I thought were hilarious about some of the, this guy says, because they're talking about internet things and devices and, how it's such a huge issue. And this guy says, this tells us that these new internet thing everything world, most of these devices, your thermostat, your refrigerator, probably even your alarm system, don't have even the most basic security. Oh, that's not good. Wow, that's really not good. Let's restart Firefox. Wow. Alright. Wow, you son of a bitch. Let's see if we can find it again real quick. Oh, yeah. Okay, he says, talking about, again, internet things and devices lacking the most basic security. And this guy says, you're right, my refrigerator does lack the most basic security. Anyone could just walk up and steal my salami's data without even obtaining the administrator password. And this guy says, I have a security light that comes on when my door opens in his fridge. This guy says, my refrigerator light remains on when the door is closed so the internal security camera can witness the possible side channel attacks. This means nothing to any of you probably, but these are hilarious to me for other reasons. He says, you should get an infrared bulb. He says, I should get an infrared bulb. Yes, you should. This guy says, what about me? Do I need an IR bulb? You do not need an IR bulb. And then this is where it starts getting really nerdy, and because he throws out a Linux command, which is basically a super user. So in most of the time in Windows, you're just your administrator, more or less. You're logged in with like the highest privileges already, and that's not a good idea. So on Linux and Unix systems, usually there's like the root user, the highest up level, and you are a user somewhere below with privileges not as escalated as the root guy, as the top is the system administrator and such. So this basically is a command that a lower user can do to ask the upper levels to do something, essentially. Basically like, hey, can I have this security level for just a moment while you do this command? And it's super user do, and he says make me a sandwich. So this guy basically creates code for a sandwich. Actually, he screws it up, but anyway, like, it gets nuts. Like, you have no idea how, like, again, this was the golden age of Reddit back in the day, but it's over now. Shills, trolls, shit posters, and more. So anyway, the whole idea is that once they have your IP, they scan you. Once they scan you, they find a vulnerability. They find an exploit to the vulnerability, and then exploit the vulnerability. And again, I mean, there is exploit databases, just so much that's literally a point and click away for people that, like, there's this mystified, like, when someone says they're a hacker, I usually laugh at them, or I laugh at the idea of someone claiming to be a hacker, because, I'm not a hacker, you're not a hacker, no, you guys aren't hackers. Like, you don't understand you can point and click, I can point and click, like, all that stuff's not, it's not impressive, we'll just say that. To understand the real, like, the underlying pieces, to understand the protocols, to understand the problem solving, that's the stuff that should be impressing you, not the guy who points and clicks and can run somebody else's hard work and effort, and then take credit for that. That's not, that there's nothing impressive about that. Anyway, that's where I'll leave you today. Like, share, subscribe.